Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of System Shock Radio. I, as always, am your host Nigel, and today we're going to get right into it. But first things first, before we begin, if you haven't already, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I just dropped two new vids, two movie review videos, one for Uncharted and one for Captain Marvel. And of course, I do other stuff on there as well, such as the video game reviews and the crime cases. One of which we'll look at next month, of course, because, of course, I'm trying to do those every once a month. So if you haven't already, go check out my reviews on Uncharted and Captain Marvel, those movies. So I think you'll like them. But in terms of this video, actually, before we get through to this video, next episode is going to be episode 55, and as such, I got something really special and interesting planned for episode 55, so you'll definitely want to check it out. More details to come in the near future, and I've decided that we are going to still do Tales from the Labyrinth, but that's going to be, for the time being, pre-recorded as well. But if you prefer either pre-recorded or uh, what's the for live, hey, please let me know. I'm doing pre-recorded for now. But if you want me to go live, then I will definitely. I have no problem doing it, of course. It all depends on what you guys want to see. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, we got a few topics for today. The first is Injustice. Now, I kind of mentioned Injustice last video when I talked about should there be a Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe game. A second one, at least. There already was one. It wasn't that great. Hey, but should they attempt it again? And I brought up Injustice as an example. And I'm sure some of you were like, well, what is Injustice? So, Injustice is a fighting game similar to Mortal Kombat. In fact, made by the same company, NetherRealm, with in a joint with Warner Brothers, or so. With that partnership going on, and involves DC characters. So of course you got the big ones like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and stuff. But we also got some less, I guess, less famous characters that become somewhat more famous, like Cheetah or Adam. And they made two of them. The first one was released in 2013, and the next one was released in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, there's a lot of lore behind it. It basically, in this universe, in the Injustice universe, and it's kind of interesting because it's set in a parallel universe. It mostly takes place there. We got an evil Justice League. More specifically, Superman side of things. So, Joker accidentally tricked Superman into killing his wife Lois Lane and their unborn son by manipulating him through the use of gas to think that Lois was Darkseid, and so Superman, after that, pretty much goes on a rampage, and pretty much turns the world into a dictatorship run by himself and pretty much those who stood with him rather than against him. So, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman, and Green Lantern all sided with him. And one of the main Justice League characters who didn't, of course, was Batman. And Batman developed pretty much a insurgency to try and take down Superman. And surprisingly, Batman has quite a few villains on his side that, which is kind of interesting because Batman, of course, fights villains alongside the Justice League, but the only one he had left were villains. All the Justice League members joined up with Superman. So Batman has Catwoman on his side, as well as Lex Luthor, who in this parallel universe is actually not evil. And Batman even teams up with Harley Quinn and Deathstroke. And Harley Quinn, of course, is upset because as she lost her beloved, her Mr. J, a Joker, and but eventually she gets over him and becomes more heroic, and so they duke it out, and the Batman and Superman from the alternate universe, the one where everything is normal, the Justice League are good guys and everything, team up with this alternate universe Batman, pretty much to take down Superman, his regime, and who ends up defeating this Superman? Of course, the other Superman from the other dimension, the good one. And so he defeats him, and Superman's locked away, and that's how the first game ends up. Now, the second game completely takes place in the alternate universe, so no alternate universe Batman, not unlike that. This is the parallel universe where Superman's evil and all that. Superman actually breaks out, not breaks out. Batman lets him out, and they just form a temporary reunion because they have to stop Brainiac from invading Earth. But of course, in the end, Batman and Superman turn against each other once again, and the players actually left with a choice this time around. They can either play as Batman and defeat Superman, or play as Superman and defeat Batman. And we actually get two different endings. For Superman's ending, which is non-canon apparently, he's Superman and ends up brainwashing Batman into becoming one of them, and tells his cousin Supergirl, who makes her debut in Injustice 2, to fall in line with him, or pretty much suffer, just like Batman. But in Batman's ending, if you play as Batman defeat Superman, in Batman's ending, which is canon because of course it is, is Batman and recruits Supergirl, pretty much to take out the regime and to actually protect the world. So, a bit of lore behind it, which I think is actually pretty cool, and in terms of gameplay, it's really awesome as well. A lot of the characters do feel like themselves, and there's quite a bit of characters. Of course, there's some characters who carry over from the first game to the second game, but there's other characters who debut in the second game as well, such as Cheetah, Adam, and Hellboy. We got some celebrity characters, so we had Hellboy and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Enchantress. So he had some DLC characters in both games actually, and we even got some Mortal Kombat characters in there. So Scorpion was in Injustice 1 and was notoriously one of the most broken characters in that game, and being able to teleport and everything. And then in Injustice 2, we got two of them this time. We got Sub-Zero and we got Raiden. So, but I think the main thing that I like about the Injustice games is the darker tone to it. So this pretty much proved why they could have done a darker version of Mortal Kombat versus DC, because DC can handle it. This story, it was dark. There had some dark elements, such as when Superman killed Shazam, who was pretty much a kid, just because Shazam questioned him, and ultimately, because of this, Flash and Green Lantern end up leaving the regime and joining up with Batman. But stuff like that, I think, was pretty interesting for this game, and hopefully there's an Injustice 3. Apparently, rumors of an Injustice 3 have been shot down because it looks like we are getting a Mortal Kombat 12, but hopefully in the near future we can get an Injustice 3, because I would really like to see it, and I'd like to see the story continue. But without further ado, let's move on to the next topic, which is going to be both Futurama and the revival. I apologize if you hear some background noise, but so Futurama, probably one of my absolute favorite shows. It's a pretty cool premise. So, it stars Philip J. Fry, a man from the 20th century, because the show takes place in 1999, and of course goes from there because that's when it debuted. And he accidentally gets frozen for 1,000 years, wakes up in the 31st century where everything is futuristic, and pretty much becomes a delivery boy for Planet Express, and hangs out with people like Professor Hubert Farnsworth, and there's Taranga Leela. She's the one with one eye. Then there's Bendon Rodriguez, the robot. And the show is pretty funny. A lot of funny stuff, a lot of like scientific, like sci-fi humor. And humorous sci-fi stuff is my weakness. I absolutely adore it, and it's probably one of the reasons why I love Futurama. With that being said, though, oh, and also I gotta say the ending to Futurama, how it's pretty much a time loop, and how the show technically still going on because the events of the show are in the time loop, which is why I don't think this revival is going to work out that well. So, Futurama was ordered for a revival on Hulu, but honestly, I'm not really looking forward to it because it's ultimately a show that doesn't need one. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Futurama, but revivals nowadays seem to be a detriment to the show that they're reviving, such as like Fuller House, where it was all right, but it's nowhere near as good as the source material, where they should have just left the original alone. And I think the main reason they're doing that is to get fans of Futurama back in so that they can get Hulu, like, because look, we got Futurama again. But the original one ended on such a good note that honestly a revival is not necessary. And it turns out the whole cast isn't even going to be there. So they got most of the cast members, thankfully, like of course Billy Crystal as Fry and everything, but John DiMaggio, who voices is Bender, Ben Rodriguez, will not be back for Futurama uh, as a Bender, or John DiMaggio won't be. I accidentally said Billy Crystal. It's Billy West. My apologies, but Bender, his voice actor John DiMaggio, who also voices Jake the Dog in Adventure Time, will not be back for the Futurama revival. And honestly, that really sucks because actually, I think he did a really awesome job as Bender. He was probably one of, if not my absolute favorite character from the show. So the fact that they couldn't get his original actor back really, really sucked. But um, next up, another show with if another revival coming is That 70s Show. Now, I gotta give credit to my sister here because she's actually the one who got me into That 70s Show, in the first place. But That 70s Show was a really good, really funny show. Oh, and I heard they're getting a revival again, and not again, but they're getting a revival. Oh, and of course, Red and Kitty Foreman and Eric Foreman's parents are coming back into the fold. But I don't know about this one either. Now, the thing that worked with That 70s Show was it did feel like the 70s, but the jokes still felt pretty timeless. Of course, there was 70s stuff, like a lot of the settings, a lot of the character mannerisms and stuff. Of course, you had Eric, who was the big Star Wars fan and pretty much a big old nerd. Then you had Hyde, who was like conspiracy theorist and like the pretty much the smart mouth of the TV show. Then Kelso, the dim-witted one. Then you had Donna, Eric's girlfriend, and kind of like the main female of the group. Then there was Jackie, who was like a kind of dim-witted rich girl, and then you had Fez, who was a foreign exchange student, and we saw him evolve throughout the show. So, great cast of characters. Of course, speaking to their real life counterparts, not as much, but seeing them on the show was pretty cool. Well, I shouldn't say that for all of them. Mila Kunis, of course, Jackie, and Ashton Kutcher, Kelso, were are pretty good. They're all right. They're good, but when I say that, I'm mostly speaking to Danny Masterson and Topher Grace. If you know, you know. But with this revival, I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't even know when it would take place. I'm guessing in the '80s, maybe, because That 70s Show ended at the end of the decade on December 31st, 1979, in show canon, that is. But then it would be That 80s Show, and they kind of already tried to do That 80s Show, and it didn't pan out that well. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But next up, we're going to talk about the best video games that I have never played. Now, I'm a huge gamer, or I've always been a fan of video games, but believe it or not, there are games that I have never played, and some of these may surprise you. In fact, some of these may infuriate you, which I apologize in advance. But uh, there's games like Final Fantasy. Never played a Final Fantasy game, unfortunately. Yeah, I've always wanted to, but just never got around to it. Um, Metroid. Never played a Metroid game. Definitely want to. Donkey Kong. I've only played one Donkey Kong game. That's Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D for my 3DS. Didn't even finish it because by that time I got my Switch, so I kind of stopped playing it. I might go back and play it, but yeah, never played a Donkey Kong game. Luigi's Mansion. The only one I've played is Dark Moon. Haven't played the first one. Haven't played the third one on Switch. So yeah, so I'm behind on those. Splatoon. Never played Splatoon. And that one, I feel like I feel kind of ashamed of because Splatoon, I've heard, is a pretty fun game. Pokemon Tournament, never played. Pokemon. My first Pokemon game wasn't until Omega Ruby for the 3DS. I didn't grow up with the old school Pokemon games because I didn't have a Game Boy back then, and I still never had a Game Boy. But yep, never played those, unfortunately. The other games I haven't played. I played a little bit of the original God of War. I played the PS4 one, never finished it, but I played the original God of War, a little bit of it, but that was around the time when my PS2 broke. But other than that, I haven't played a God of War game. The Def Jam games that a lot of people like, guess what? Never played them. Um, yes, I know. Boo me. You can go ahead and boo me. I deserve it, but yeah, a lot of games I haven't gotten around to, but I want to play, and I've kind of made a list of games that I want to play. So, if there is a game that you've played that I probably haven't played, let's be honest. If you mention it, there's probably a good chance I haven't played it, just because I play video games, of course, but there's a lot of games out there, a lot of really good games, and there's some I haven't been able to get to. But any game recommendations you guys have whether you believe I've played it or not, put them in the comments, and I would love to see them. And finally, let's talk about trust. Now, trust, I've always maintained, is one of the main building blocks to any relationship. In a relationship, you gotta have trust. Otherwise, what's the point of the relationship? If you don't trust me, why are we involved? And that can be any sort of relationship, whether it's romantic or like a friend or even sometimes coworkers. Whereas if you don't trust me, what's the point of me being here? What's the point of you being here? What's the point of any of this? And I've dealt with trust issues before for certain people, but you gotta be careful sometimes who you trust as well, because not everyone has your best interest in mind, and I feel like that's why a lot of people do have trust issues, because they've trusted people in the past and they've let them down. And trust me, I'm no stranger to that. But trust is something that's important. When you put your trust into something, you're pretty much saying, okay, I'm relying on this thing to do something for me. For example, if I fired up my PS4, or I trust that it will turn on and not like brick itself. So I put my trust in that. That in God we trust. A lot of people trust in God, believe in God, because not, they believe that it's right, and they expect Him to do things, and they expect to do things for Him, and when they believe in God. Uh, Believe it or not, most, if not all of us, trust in something. And where our trust lies is up to us, but if we trust in something, that means we believe in it. And trust is something that you can't just go throwing around willy-nilly, because like I said, you can't trust everyone. You can't trust everything, because not everyone and not everything really has your best interest in mind. So just be careful, be cautious of your trust and everything. trust me, trust is great. Trust is a fantastic thing to have because it shows that you not only believe in something but you value it as well. You value me enough to trust me. Of course, when you click on this video, System Shock Radio, or any of my other videos, you trust that I'll have something interesting to say, and I hope I've been delivering that for you guys. But you trust me with your view. That's why you click on the video. You click on the video, and you trust that I have something that you'll be interested in that I'm going to talk about. Um, and if you give me a topic, you trust that I'll talk about the topic. Which, if you do have a topic you want to see covered on System Shock Radio, feel free to let me know. You can let me know in the comments below. You can message me, all that good stuff. But you trust that not only will I talk about the topic, not only will I have something interesting to say about it, but that I'll do the topic justice. So, believe it or not, most, if not all of us, trust in something. But without further ado, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are about anything I talked about in the comments below. If this is your first time watching System Shock Radio, welcome. Hope you enjoyed. And if this isn't your first time watching, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed as well. But thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, next week for episode 55, I got something pretty interesting. Normally, I try to do System Shock Radio every 2 weeks, but because you all have been good boys and girls this Christmas, we're doing it a week early. But thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.